Hi, how's it going? I'm Marlene. Thanks for wandering by. Welcome to my month gone by video. So this is the video where I kind of recap and go through my previous month. In this case, it's the month of May 2023 that we're going to be talking about. And I go back through and kind of share with you my practice, the decks that I used, and all the things that I got up to that were like maybe special events or like, you know, books I was reading and things like that I want memories and stuff to share with you all for the month of May. What we're gonna do this time and see how it goes is we're gonna go chronologically, because this month anyway, I spent quite a bit of time in my journal, and I feel like that's the best guide to like take me through the month with you. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a look at my journal. Obviously, there's some personal stuff in here, so I'm gonna show you what I can show you, because I did quite a bit of, you know, like journal art and drawing and like lettering and stuff like that, and that was fun. So without further ado, let's get into my month gone by, May 2023. So here we have my journal, and for those of you that are curious, this is a Lecterm. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's Lecterm 1917. This is the B5 size. I don't know if you can tell. So it's bigger, and I like that. And it's soft cover, and it is just, I think, a little bit over 100 pages, I want to say. And it's dot grid, and I absolutely love it. This is the type, if you see my video about my journal evolution, my history of journals, you'll see that I landed on this type of journal because it's just like, it's like perfect for my journaling practice, and I love it so much. This is a sticker from Jonas Jaus. So this is a image from the Jonas Jaus tarot, which is funny because I didn't use it this particular month. Anyway, so we're just gonna flip through, and then we'll like pause when we get to things to show, and then we'll come back to the journal. That's how we're gonna do this. So it was Mother's Day, so this is just a cute, some cute artwork, and a note from my daughter that she made for me, and I just thought that I would glue it in here as a keepsake. And so here I set up my month of May. What I did here was I confess my Stacy DeMarco lunar and seasonal diary, which is what it says underneath this. This is glued on top of the moon. I know it looks weird to have like mushrooms inside the moon and a squirrel, but because I glued this is the title page. So I just decided that calendar wasn't working for me, and to have it like separate from my journal, I needed to have like everything all in one place. So I just went ahead and I started cutting it up. I think I might have done that last month too, or I'm not sure, but I just started cutting it up and putting pieces of that in here. So here's my calendar. I know that the lines are not the boxes are not all the same size, whatever, I don't care. Okay, so here, and this is like in a strange order, so I don't know, like I think June I'll get better. I kind of just I decided like at the last moment that I was going to start some new practices, and one of them is the weekly wisdom. And yeah, I'm borrowing I'm borrowing the alliteration trick from my buddy Don Michelle, who does the monthly medicine. But the weekly wisdom is just a practice that I decided I wanted to do for myself, because I wanted to use these two decks, the Divining Poets deck that divining, I just wrote diving there. Oh my god, typo. It's the Divining Poets by the Lucille Clifton, and I'll show you here in a second, and Tarot by Caro. And each week I just pulled one card from each and I noted it down in here. So let me show you those two decks. So both of these decks were kindly gifted to me by different people, actually. And so yeah, Divining Poets. I can't believe I wrote Diving Poets, which is kind of actually funny. So these are the boxes. So this is a series, the Divining Poets. And I think because this one was so amazing, I want to get the other ones. There's a few other ones. It also comes with this like cute little card stand. So this is what I used. And I kept up the whole week long the quote from the Divining Poets a deck I kept up on my desk. So that's the Divining Poets. These are the backs, and basically it's just they're quotes from Lucille Clifton's works. They're so good. Like I love that it's like literally just all this white space, this eye, and the quote itself. It was so good, and they were so spot on. Oh yeah, here was one of the ones that I got, to be a mad woman at the river's edge. So good. And then this is the box for Tarot by Caro. And this was gifted to me. Honestly, this deck was not a deck that I thought that I was going to be into. And then a friend gifted it to me, and I'm in love. Like, I really, really like this deck a lot. I edged mine in black. They're the backs. This deck, I'm telling you what, guys, like, it's Wade Smith clone, you could say, but there's these very specific differences about this art, because you have your general layout here, right? So like this is the devil with the two people chained, but like when you then look again and you see this, face and mouth and fire, I especially really love the court cards. See, now look at the Five of Pentacles with all these hands holding the pentacles. There's just something about each one. Like, look at how she's leaning on the cane rod, whatever that might be, for the Seven of Pentacles. There's something just the way that these people are positioned. There's just something about the way that the artwork is set up that it makes you do like a little bit of a double take. And that made me do like a little bit of a double take, and made me think about the card in just a slightly different way. Like, look at this Eight of Pentacles, it's, well, this one is not super, that almost never gets to be, the Three of Swords almost never is anything like too innovative. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, but that's okay, because there's, so much to this deck. Now, let me show you them side by side, because even though this is just, we're just a card here that is a quote, and this deck, these really, really worked very well together. It worked for me week upon week. It was just great. I also used the Tarot by Caro with other things like my daily draws, which I'll show you. I didn't only use this, the one time. Oh, I'll just flip it so you can see kind of how that feels next to one another. See, this is one of the cards that I got. Catches the sun and keeps most of him for the evening that surely will come. Boy, yeah, those were really good messages for me, and very poetic, very metaphorical. Really, really, really worked for me. Obviously, it's a Divining Poet, so it's poetic. Look at this Hermit card. I love this. All right, I better hurry up, because if I spend this much time on every single deck pairing, we're gonna be here forever. See, I got the Knight of Swords also, and if you just look at this butterfly helmet, and the animal itself looks like it's made of clouds. I mean, it's just, this is really, I just really, really, really like this Tarot by Caro. This is Tarot by Caro and the Divining Poets, Lucille Clifton. Okay, so we're back in my journal, and that was the weekly wisdom that I just showed you. And this is just where I list the decks that I used throughout the month. So spoiler alert, these are some of the decks that you're gonna see. And then over here, so this is artwork again from that Stacey DeMarco calendar that I cut up. And I just, I put, this is not my poem. This is the lyrics to This Must Be the Place by the Talking Heads, because I wrote a poem that was an ode to the Talking Heads, which is really inspired by having listened to this particular song. And that poem, I'm hoping to film something and put it up here on the channel sometime soon. So yeah, so this is just, I just put that in there because it was really, really inspiring, really, really important to me. And it's a song I adore. And it just was amazing. So this, on this page is where I obviously kind of put the things that I was getting up to, kind of tarot adjacent things. So things I was reading, watching, working on, and other things. So for other, the month of May, we saw Mother's Day, my birthday, and I got a new job in May. And I'll talk more about that coming up here as I get into my other videos. But so that was big things that happened. The things that I worked on. So I want to try to keep a track of like things that I'm doing creatively. And I know that like I had set a goal for myself for this year to read fiction and nonfiction, and to also work on poetry. April came and went, and I did not do National Poetry. I did National Poetry Month, but I did not do like write a poem every day in April. That was just like a really lofty goal that was not going to happen. But I am definitely keeping track of the things that I am working on and creatively, because it just, you know, it makes me feel good to give myself credit for those passion projects and fun things that I'm doing, because my life is so busy otherwise that I really, you know, want to give myself credits for the poem, even if it was only one that I wrote. I did drawings inside my journal, and I created deck-in spreads. So I did the spread for Taurus 2, Taurus 3, and Gemini 1. And because it was my birthday in the month of May, I created the birthday deck-in spread. So those are the things that I worked on. Watched. Okay, I'm not going to put any blurbs or anything up, but I'm just going to go through this really quickly. I watched the whole first season again of the show Heroes. And I watched it with my daughter, and it's a show that's like one of my favorites, and it was her first time ever seeing it. Beyond the first season, I don't like what happened to that show. It's an older show, for those of you that might not remember it. I really hated the second and third season, so really we just watched season 1, my daughter and I. She absolutely loved it. It was really good. And it was a really fun thing for us to watch. Stargate is like our family show that we always watch together as a family. I've been watching Doctor Who. I was watching it on my own, and now the kiddo is like into it with me. So she's been watching some Doctor Who, and she has like her favorite episode already. And then I'm not, you know what? I'm going to just say it. Vanderpump Rules. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys are into like really, like, I mean, sorry, it's just garbage reality TV. It's just terrible. It's a guilty pleasure, but I had so much going on in the month of May, and it was like just pure escapism to get into Vanderpump Rules. This last season, there was all this ridiculous scandal and drama about other people's lives, and I was just all in for it. And it was a really good, nice mental break for me to think about other people, or to get all caught up in drama in other people's lives and not my own. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's just, you know, the way that it goes. And reading, okay, I crossed out Stone Blind. You guys, I got like a bunch of books from the library at the beginning of the month that I did not read. I did not read. I did not finish. I started a bunch of books. I did not finish any of them. I didn't even want to list the ones that I started. Really the only, well, I have one listed here, but it was really two things that I got into. Like aside from like my like nonfiction tarot stuff that I read for the Deccan walk, I got into these two. One is a guidebook and one is, Grimm's Fairy Tales because of the monthly medicine, which I'll show you. This is just one of those like cute, pretty, different, this is like to look pretty on your shelf that you can get at Barnes and Noble. So this is the version of Grimm's Fairy Tales that I was reading, and I especially spent some time reading Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because it came up in one of my cards, and I had a lot of fun going back in here. I have read Grimm's Fairy Tales, over the course of my life as a child myself. I took a children's literature course in college where we like really examined children's literature and like the differences, obviously between like what Grimm really wrote, what the Grimms really wrote, and like how Disney and different modern retellings of the stories vary. And I had forgotten, some of the main, this has a rip in it because I gave this book also to my daughter. And I've read some, not all, but lots of stories from here to her as well. But there's a lot of very big differences and subtle differences between how, I remember the Snow White story, which is very much informed by Disney. Sorry, it just is. And what is in here in the Grimm's. And it was really interesting how I had forgotten that the evil queen visits Snow White on 3 different occasions, and it's not just the apple that she gives her, but 2 other items that to try to poison her and kill her, that didn't work until the 3rd time the apple did. And it was just, really interesting. And my little, literary heart and brain was getting into those ideas, which I thought was pretty cool and took me different places and different conversations, which I love which is what I love about reading and especially getting into fairy tales. And then I used, I'll show it here in a moment, the Tarot of the Divine. This is the companion guidebook to the Tarot of the Divine that has the fairy tales that match with the deck. And I really love this book. I mean, the illustrations, the full color illustrations of the cards is fantastic. Now, okay, so I know that there's this guidebook has taken some criticism for the summarized version of that particular fairy tale, myth, or folk tale, or legend, or what have you. But honestly, I don't mind it. At least, if I wanted to like try to track down like the original or some more some other versions, or if one of the stories really stands out to me and I want to do some more research and get involved with that, then I feel like I certainly can do it. I don't expect a book like this to be exhaustive. I really am okay with it being what it is, which is just a summary, and a retelling in a shortened, version of the tale or the myth or what it is. And I feel like it's strong enough and hits the highlights enough that it makes sense in its connection to the tarot card. And honestly, the Tarot of the Divine, I guess I'll talk more about that when I get to it, but the Tarot of the Divine is one of the first tarot decks that I really started working with when I got, when I started learning just a couple years ago. So, okay, so that's these 2 pages. And then these are my cards of the month. I'm not going to take out my 2 decks that I used. So I did a year ahead spread. I don't know if you can see this down here at the bottom. I did a year ahead reading back in January or on New Year's Eve, I think. And I used the Thoth and the Tantric Dakini Oracle. And these are the cards I got. So I got the Lust card from the Thoth, and from the Tantric Dakini Oracle, I got the Holocaust card, which Tantric Dakini lines up to the tarot. And so this would have been it corresponds to the Tower card. It's the Tower card. And I'm not going to get too into it, but the month of May, yeah, there was definitely Tower moment. It was a really, really, really difficult time. And I'm okay now, just so you all know. Like, I'm okay, my family's okay, we're okay. But it was rough. It was rough there. And so that was definitely spot on as a year ahead reading. I have mixed feelings as I've been doing a year ahead now. This is the 2nd year that I've done a year ahead reading. I have mixed feelings about that type of thing. And I haven't watched it yet, but it's like saved in my watch later. Kelly Bear has a video where she's talking about year ahead readings or the card of the year. And I'm really interested to watch that. I'm really interested in this topic. Maybe I'll make another video about that specifically, because I don't know if it's a practice that I'll continue doing, even though it's been hit or miss in terms of the way that it affects me. I don't tend to read predictively, but I do. So it's one of those odd things. Anyway, I'm belaboring the point here. Okay. Another, so this spread has my monthly muse, which I like last minute sort of decided that I was going to do, because I really, what I wanted was to use this deck. And this is the Divine Muses Oracle. And this, oh, here's my card right up at the top, Lionheart. I don't have the guidebook right here next to me, but the Divine Muses, here are the backs. This deck I won in a giveaway by the lovely Christine Rose L. And I've wanted to use this and I hadn't yet. And I thought that it would be a really good practice because the guidebook is so... the guidebook is so involved. Like it's a big guidebook. There's a lot of write-up on every single card. These are, I mean, I feel like these are, these cards are muses, right? So it's not just a keyword to work with, but rather a archetype or a, I don't know, it's just an archetype or something more. It's deeper than that, I think, which is the way that I guess I wanted to use it. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into these cards. So rather than just use rather than use this as an oracle in my, readings or something like that, I decided that I wanted to just pull one card and spend time with it. And this card sat out on my reading table the whole month. And I wrote, quotes from the guidebook that stood out to me. And I told you, that I was dealing with Tower Moment stuff in May. And this is like akin to the Strength card for me, this Lionheart. And it was really something, this guiding force that I kind of embraced and tried to embody for the month of May to get through. And it was really, really helpful guide, the Lionheart. Lionheart is a card of courage, strength, and loyalty. It is about embodying a kind, caring, and forgiving nature, and at the same time being daring and speaking the truth, even if it isn't pleasant. So yeah, that totally resonated for me for the month of May. And then over here on this side, I just listed the practices, and I'll show you. I've talked about some of them already, obviously. Monthly medicine, the theme was Once Upon a Time, and I'll show you the decks that I got into week upon week, because monthly medicine is a practice with Don Michelle's Weaver's membership. I talk about it pretty much every month because I've been doing this for a long time now. And I'll leave links below to where you can learn more about it if you, for some reason, don't know about Don Michelle. Month ahead spread I'll get to next. The Deccan Walk. So I have my Deccan readings in here. And then these are the 3 practices that were new, right? So the daily draws I'll show you. I used weekly wisdom we talked about, monthly muse, and then also walking the self-worth path is a practice with my friend. Oh look, they're like bookends here, Don Michelle and Lisa Pepez. So Lisa Pepez, her membership, among a lot of other things that she offers, we have been going through at it's the Badass Unicorn tier. We've been going through Lisa's book, The Self-Worth Path, and we have a live stream where we kind of go over the topic for that particular section, and she gives us some prompts that you can use either as a reading or journal prompts in connection to that particular section topic in the book. So that's another one of the practices that I got up to. Okay, so then also I got this from the Stacey DeMarco calendar that I'm cutting up, and I'm trying to learn more about the Sabbats and the equinox and solstices and things like that for the wheel of the year, and that calendar has has those in there. And so I've been reading about it, and obviously this was April 30th and not May, but I decided that I was going to use for my daily draws, and I'll show you. I have a spread for that particular practice as well. Let me show you that. I guess we're going out of order. Oh, I'm going out of order, and I said I wasn't gonna do that. Oops. Yeah, so this is where I did that. The daily draws, I used the Seasons of the Witch, and I didn't do it every single day, but pretty much I stuck to it, which actually worked out in terms of fitting them all on the page. So what I used this deck, I'm obsessed and love these Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks. I just ordered the new one, what's the one that's coming out now? A Mabon. So it's going to be here soon. So this is Beltane or Beltine. Here are the backs. It's got the gilding that comes off. I don't care. Oh, I love this goddess. That was the last card that I got. Are we going? Oh my gosh, yeah, they're in order. No, they're not in order. There just happen to be the ones that were there. So this is, I just absolutely love this Oracle series, because even though like where I live is not, like we don't have real seasons because I live in a tropical climate, I still have always all my life, followed the ideas and the, like the seasons and our holidays and monthly celebrations. And I mean, in a small way though here, because I'm in the Northern Hemisphere in the United States, it still is, there's a lot of things that make the area and the things feel very spring, right? Which is what Beltane is all about, spring and things coming back to life. There's so much here that is really uplifting, but also there's also shadow work here. Things to bring out, things that you weren't necessarily prepared or didn't know were there because they were buried deep. sorry, things are upside down. And I just find that like the mixture of like the seasonal energy, like the witchy things that are in here, the metaphor and allegory, the write-ups here that are right on the card. The guidebook is really good too, and these books always have really great spreads in there as well. But I just find that this works as such a lovely daily draw. And I have the Yule and the Samhain one, and that's how I've used them. And this one is my May, my spring, my May deck. And I used it last year in this kind of a way. And it really just, yeah, it felt good every day to kind of connect with this type of energy, whether it be something kind of deep rooted and, you know, like earthy, tied to like the seasons, or something tied to like self-growth, and something tied to, you know, like animal spirit and shadow, because this one for me had kind of like a little bit of a shadow type of energy as well. So it's varied, it kind of just works. It just works for the whole, you know, for the whole month of May. I don't know if I'll start using these decks in a different kind of way, but right now the Seasons of the Witch as a daily draw is just spot on perfect. Okay, so let me go back and see. All right, so this is my, I pulled this out of that same calendar by Stacey DeMarco that I've been cutting up, and every month I've been doing a month ahead spread where I answer these particular questions in a 9-card reading. So I don't want to read the whole thing to you, but and I'll show you the 2 decks that I use. So I just thought this was pretty. Basically, it ends up being the first 3 are things to create, experience, and manifest. And then the 3 in the middle are what's important to me, what would give me joy, and what I'm devoted to. So it's kind of like those are the spread positions: create, experience, manifest, important, joy, devotion. And then the 3 below are ideas, musings, and actions. And so the decks that I used here, I guess I'll put my journal aside so I can show you these 2. I won't spend too much time on these because these are like 2 of my absolute favorite decks. And these bags were made by my friend Dawn, just so I could put these, my very special decks in here. And it's the Tree Spirit. This one has the Tree Spirit. See how they match? This has the Tree Spirit Tarot. And this is the Animal Wise. How cute, right? I just have to show off the bags because, like, is that not the cutest thing ever? I probably have shown this before. So the Tree Spirit Tarot and the Animal Wise. I often use these 2. Oh, look at my little otter up top. I often use these 2 decks in conjunction with each other. They just tend to really speak to one another, and I find that the tree and plant energy and the animal energy is just something that is gives me so much like energy, like it's renewal. Is that, or it's refreshing, or it's like rejuvenating. It's one of those types of things. Like it renews me. And it takes some time to work with these 2 decks because the Tree Spirit Tarot follows the tarot structure, but it's renamed everything. And it has the name of the plant or tree and a keyword. And the same here with the Animal Wise. Like it has the name of the card. Well, let me grab a minor card. So it's renamed the minors. It follows it by the element, and then it has the name of the animal, and it has like keywords or key phrases down below. And there's, I don't have the guidebook. I need to get the guidebook for the Tree Spirit Tarot. I really, really do. But I do have the guidebook for the Animal Wise. And like, these are decks that, well, I mean, you can do one or 2 things. You can just like put them out and look at your keywords and draw upon your tarot meanings and just move, be done with it. Or you can really like write all this stuff down and journal, bring all these words in, bring your tarot knowledge in, and then also dive into the guidebooks and learn about gorilla and learn about spruce and then make connections there, which is like, I mean, for me, it's like why I do this, So when I have time, because I don't always have time, I do that. But I really, in the summertime also, I very much feel these decks. I feel these decks very much in the summer. Last summer, we're in spring. Well, we're heading into summer, but at this point of year, May and then into June, these are decks that just like, I absolutely love. The Spirit Tarot and the Animal Wise. Something about these two decks together just speaks, directly to my soul, and I like absolutely love them. Okay, so we're back in my journal, and now we're into the first week of May, where I started the monthly medicine. And for the first week, so every week I was in my journal drawing and doing, write-ups. I used my Canon Ivy to take a picture of and print out my readings. And so this is the Monthly Medicine by Dawn Michelle. I spoke about it already. And the two decks that I used this week for like that introduction to the fairy tale theme, the Once Upon a Time, was the Delanoë Oracle and the Tarot of the Divine. So let's first talk about the Tarot of the Divine, because the Delanoë Oracle I used more than just this 1 week. So the Tarot of the Divine, here are the backs. This is a mass market deck that has been around now for some time. And it's one of the very first decks I ever used. I think I mentioned this already. It's one of the very first decks that I ever used to help me when I was starting tarot. And I think some people would think that that's odd because this is so far removed from the Waite Smith imagery. But for me, learning the tarot with fairy tale, myth, and folklore and legend being a companion to it was a very, very wonderful, really perfect way for me to learn tarot, because I am a nerd, a literature and literary nerd. I love stories, and I love myth, and I love metaphor, and I love allegory and fables and all of that stuff. So I love The Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid was an archetype, a story that really spoke to me this month of May as well. But yeah, so the Tarot of the Divine is one of my favorite decks. I don't use it all the time, but this was a perfect excuse to get it out again for fairy tale. And I really liked to work alongside, here, let me move this out of the way. It really liked to work alongside the Delanoë Oracle, which let me show you that. So the Delanoë Oracle, here's the backs. It's not that, it doesn't have that many cards. I edged mine in this like navy blue to match. The Delanoë Oracle is really just the fairy tale characters with this like, I guess this is digital art, digital design. Jack and the Beanstalk. We have Mulan, Puss in Boots. There's a Tarot Delanoë as well, which I don't have, and I've been thinking of getting it. But it's just, your Snow White. I got Snow White. Baba Yaga, the Spirit of Magic. It's just the names of the stories and the beautiful artwork. Little Red Riding Hood. So it was perfect. It was perfect to go alongside the Tarot of the Divine. And I used it alongside other decks as well. So you can see, oh my God, the wolf. You'll see when I get to the Big Bad Wolf week, I used that. So it was a good match. Peter Pan and the World. I really like that. So, you know, there's story here, there's story here, there's comparing and contrasting to do. The Little Mermaid. I'll get to that in just a moment as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed using, especially this Delanoë Oracle, but also bringing out my, you know, Tarot of the Divine and the Delanoë Oracle, which you'll see again because I'm going to show you it next to a couple other decks. Okay, so we're back in my journal, and this is the spread that I did for my Decan reading for Taurus 2. So Taurus 2, Taurus 3, and Gemini 1 all appear in the month of May. And so for this, I'll leave a link to my whole Decan video for Taurus 2. I'm not going to get too much into it, but for this particular spread, I didn't know, like, I didn't know which decks I was going to use really until I got there. And the Blood Moon Tarot is a deck that I've talked about before on my channel quite a bit. I've talked about it because I haven't used it. That's why I talked about it. This deck is out of print. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mention that, but I always leave you links for the decks down below. But this deck is out of print. I'm not sure. I think they might be doing another printing of this deck. In any case, this deck I had not used except for like maybe 1 or 2 readings when I first got it. And for some reason I hadn't returned to it. And I still have the same sort of feelings about it because it is hard to see with these borders. But this time around, when I use this deck in paired with the oracle of the that I chose to use with the messages from the light meditation deck, and for this particular reading, it just worked. It spoke to me. I really got a lot from it. This is very moving. This deck is, yeah, it's very moving. It's not easy, but it's like very spiritual, I guess is what the feeling that I take from it, from this imagery, because it's all this flowing, kind of disturbing in places art. So that was my spread that I did. And then let me show you these 2 decks. Oh, let me talk about this one though. The messages from the light meditation deck. This is the oracle deck that I used alongside the Blood Moon. And this is a deck that I got because I saw it on Don Michelle's channel, and it's so cool. This artwork is so pretty. I love the one word, and these words are not typical, right? They're not typical. And they also have in the guidebook like you can do because it's messages from the light meditation deck, you can do meditation alongside this. And these 2 decks together just really, it's very spiritual experience. It's not just a, take this message and use it. It doesn't feel like it lives in the mundane and the practical, although you can certainly use it that way. For me, these 2 decks in combination feel very spiritual. And so this is more like higher plane kind of work so I'll just show you what they look like next to one another so you get an idea of the type of experience. Oh, and the imagery really tended to like meet up and match up. Just the way that like things were, like the shapes and colors that came through. Like look at this with these hands centering and the Seven of Skins, which would be the Seven of Wands, Bliss, and the Ace of Honey. Beautiful, right? I mean, are you guys seeing what I mean? So gathering, look, and then it's bizarre. The Blood Moon Tarot is really bizarre, surreal, fantasy. For me, like, it takes me to like that spiritual realm. Patience, look at that. I mean, it's no joke that these decks kind of, the way that they work with one another. You see, like, the colorway, the message itself, connection, page of songs. So that would be the Page of Cups. It's really a beautiful pairing. Curiosity and the Fool. I mean, come on, you guys. Can you get any better than that? Like, those are messages that are made for one another. Very reaffirming. They compound, and they compound one another. Compound, is that the right word? They like develop each other. They work. It just works. So that is the Blood Moon Tarot and the messages from the Light Meditation deck that I used for my Taurus 2 reading. So just flipping through my journal, this is just another page that continued that Once Upon a Time theme for the first week of May. And then for the second week of May, we did Curiouser and Curiouser. And, this is my drawing. I also used a deck where I got inspired to draw this magnolia. Yeah, I really love how that turned out. So going back to the numbers, the reason why I wrote this down, and this is all taken directly from the Margaret Peterson Tarot, which I didn't bring out to show you, but the Margaret Peterson Tarot has an amazing guidebook, and her write-up on the numbers is one of my favorites and really helped me understand the tarot in a numerological way. And I did this because I got the Alice in Wonderland tarot deck and guidebook, the Disney one. This is the Inside Edition one. And this deck is, I think I showed it briefly in a tarot haul video that I just did. This deck is a pip deck. I edged mine in this like mustard yellow, which kind of looks gold. It's a pip deck. So I wanted to get familiarized with how I felt about the numbered cards and how to read numerically, numerologically, and elemental associations. And so because I was preparing to use this deck, I wrote down all of this as kind of like my reference from the Margaret Peterson. And it really, really helped. So then we did Curiouser and Curiouser, which is the monthly medicine. So that week was all about, using the Alice story as kind of like our theme and topic. And then I used the Alice in Wonderland Tarot. And then for my Oracle deck for Curiouser and Curiouser, I used the Seed and Sickle Oracle, this was a gift from a lovely person, the Seed and Sickle. So this deck, I wasn't sure how I was going to get on with this because of a couple things. First of all, because the deck, here are the backs, and this is the special edition that has these coppery gilding. I wasn't sure how I was going to get along with this deck because it is just the name of the title of the plant on it or item. Most of it is plants. And I don't typically do well with that unless it's a topic that I'm very familiar with, and plants is not one of them. But this artwork is so beautiful. I wonder if I'm going to get to is it at the bottom? Feverfew is one of the cards that I got. Oh yeah, there it is. I figured it would be at the bottom because I really only used this deck a couple of times. And here is the Magnolia card. that inspired me for this drawing. So yeah, and I use these in tandem. And because the Seed and Sickle Oracle, it has two different guidebooks, a dawn guidebook and a dusk guidebook. I read from both and I decided, you know, in the moment which one I preferred, which one felt more like the right message for me. But I don't know, I'm still like, jury's out still for me on using these two guidebooks, because that's a lot, you know. And honestly, I feel like this deck, because it's just so beautiful. Let me put it aside. And it inspired me. It inspired me creatively. Here, let me get to some ones that we haven't seen yet. It inspired me so much creatively that I like it. Here, let's do this as well. I'm gonna keep using it for that particular type of purpose. So, and it really does work well with this pip deck. It looks lovely. I mean, and the messages were really cohesive and expansive and allowed me to, you know, to get into them. I actually just really like the way that these look together. Yeah, so, you know, I didn't spend, oh, that's perfect. Those look lovely together. I spent, you know, a week with these decks and I really enjoyed the experience. I definitely will be using them again. I learned about the numbers and I learned about the plants and I really enjoyed doing my drawing. So that was the Alice in Wonderland Tarot and the Seed and Sickle Oracle. So back to the journal, and here is just a page, the next page that I happen to use for the Curiouser and Curiouser that those decks that I just showed you. And then over here we have the Taurus 3, and this time I printed out my own spread, which I meant to color in, and I put some stickers here too, for Taurus 3. And then I used the Blood Moon Tarot and the messages from the Light Meditation deck. And I went into the guidebooks for both of these, and I wrote some stuff there. And then, oh, okay. So here we go for the next week of monthly medicine. The theme was Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf? And I basically, this is just a copy of what Don Michelle wrote, and then I used the Darkness of Light Tarot and the Delanui Oracle together for this week. And I mentioned the wolf card. Yeah, I totally got the wolf card for the Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf week. Let me show you these two decks. So I already talked about Delanui, so let's talk about the Darkness of Light. This is an indie deck that a friend actually gave me, a beautiful friend of mine. The Darkness of Light, I love this deck. Here are the backs. It came edged in black. I'm not sure if my friend did that or if that's how the deck is. So this deck is stunning and perfect for this type of work because it has that. I mean, I think it can be used for almost anything. Like it could be shadowy. It's shadowy and illuminating, just the way that it's drawn because it's the Darkness of Light. So paying attention to where the light is in this artwork is, I think, the magic of this deck. Yeah, and the coloring, I just really love it. It's essentially it's a Waite Smith clone, because it doesn't veer artistically, or the scene doesn't really veer from the Waite Smith image that much, but those, like I said, those subtle differences really Like, look at this, 10 of Swords with the person like washed up on the shore. That's intense. So yeah, there's an intensity here. There's quite a bit of beauty here. I really love this deck. So it very much was the right choice because I wasn't sure what deck to use, you know, for this Big Bad Wolf week. And I think I've gone through all of the cards in the De La Nuit, so, but these also paired really beautifully. Here's how these guys look. Let me turn that around. I think they made a really nice match. And the story was just such a central focus for this whole month, you know, because we were diving into these fairy tales. So yeah, so that was the Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf. So that is the De La Nuit Oracle and the Darkness of Light Tarot. So here's another spread in my journal for the Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf week. And then here's just some, I don't know, some more drawing. I was trying out how to draw peonies. I didn't get very far with this one. And then here we have the second to last week of the month. And this is the week that was the Princess Rescues Herself was the theme. And I went ahead and asked, I wasn't sure. I pulled out my Mermaid Tarot, right? I pulled out the Mermaid Tarot because I thought I was going to use this deck, but I wasn't sure. And so I asked the De La Nuit Oracle what deck I should use, what story should guide me for this particular week. And the Little Mermaid came out. So I had to grab my Mermaid Tarot. And I really love this deck. I definitely used this last summer. So I edged mine in this kind of green aqua color to match the backs. This deck, oh, see here are my cards that I got. This deck, I love it. It is, so I think what I thought of it, I'm trying to remember, but I think I had issues last summer, the last time I really worked with this in depth with the guidebook. But this time around, I didn't have that same experience. In fact, the guidebook I found to be really amazing. I just love the setup of this deck. The mermaids, the mer people, each suit has its own like clan or mer people civilization that, you know, are the mermaids of fire and the mermaids of the cold, you know, of the colder waters, and mermaids of rivers and streams for the pentacles. It's just, and the majors are really good too. It's just a really good deck. Like the story, the narrative that you get from these scenes, and there's like fairy creatures in here. It's very fantastical. It's just beautiful, like, and it's an easy reader for me. It just like, boom, makes sense. And also though, when I got into the guidebook this time around, I really found it, so this is written by Lisa Robertson and illustrated by Julie Dillon. This time the messages in here were, they made sense to me. I guess maybe they're a little bit more straightforward and kind of practical, which is kind of interesting across this fantasy world. But I don't know, it was a really good guidebook experience this particular time around. You see, here's the other spread that I did with the Mermaid Tarot. The Princess Rescues Herself, and then I used these cute little beachy stickers to go along with it. Tarot with the Delanui, which we've seen a couple times now. I was really into this Delanui oracle because it was perfect. It was just absolutely perfect for fairy tale month. So these also, it was just, so you see how versatile this Delanui oracle is? I mean, it just all month long was a beast. That was hilarious. The Beauty and the Beast card came up when I said that. Oh, there's my wolf card again. Yeah. It was a total beast. So, there you have it. That was the Mermaid Tarot with the Delanui Oracle. Okay, so here we are back in my journal, and this is my spread for Gemini 1 for the Deck and Walk, and I switched over from the blood, in Taurus season I was using Blood Moon, the Blood Moon Tarot, and the messages from the Light Meditation deck, and then I switched over to the I wrote Zodiacal, but it's the Zodiac Tarot and the Klimt Tarot. Now, I'm not going to spend way too much time talking about these two decks because I have featured the Klimt Tarot, oh my gosh, in the last few, two, I want to say, in the last two videos. This is the Klimt Tarot. I'm obsessed. It is a Lo Scarabeo deck. It is, I edged mine in black. These are the backs. Well, you can see the backs here. I love this blingy gold. I am obsessed with this deck. I love, love, love it so much. It's so evocative, so emotional. It's so moody. It's like exactly the right mood for Gemini for some reason. I don't know why such a blingy deck, black and gold, is making me feel Gemini so much, but it just is. And it's versatile though. Like I can use it for, I've been using it for lots of different things. I have in my journal, my journal represents some of the readings that I did, but there's also lots of readings I did off journal. Is that what, like off screen, off the record readings that I did. This is the Zodiac Tarot, and I've edged mine also in black. And I've shown this deck before. This is a wonderful deck to use for the Deck and Walk because it has your astrological tie-ins right on the top of the card. And they just they work, We've got this black background, these gold accents. The Klimt Tarot is, has pieces of Gustav Klimt's artwork, so it's very much outside of the Rider-Waite-Smith scope, whereas the Zodiac Tarot is essentially a Smith-Waite-Smith, whatever, RWS clone, right? But it has its own like really beautiful nightscape. It has your decans up top, so Moon in Aquarius for the Seven of Swords, and it has the elements there for the court cards. It's just stunning together. So yeah, and I used it, I used these two decks in different ways, but for my Gemini 1 reading, the Klimt Tarot and the Zodiac Tarot. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to, well, I don't know if this is last. There's probably one more page here in my book, but this is the Walking the Self-Worth Path spread that I did, and I used the Disney Villains Tarot. And look, this is the bag that Dawn Michelle made for me for my Disney Villains Tarot to go in. This is a heavy topic and a bit of a triggering topic because this is about, releasing body image dogma. And like I said, the month of May, that tower kind of moment, and, just things that were going on, were really heavy. So the Disney Villains Tarot, it makes me laugh, and it gives a sense of humor to things that are otherwise really dark and difficult. and it's playful, and it's, you know, nostalgic for me, and it just, I use this deck for this self-worth path reading, but I use this deck throughout towards like the last like couple weeks of the month. I just pulled it out and I would ask it, like, where can I find the humor in this situation? Like, where can I find some laughs? What can lift my spirit? And it was so perfect for that. It made me laugh. It made me feel better. It was comforting in this like weird way. I don't know, like, cause it's the Disney villains, but it was light-hearted for me. And it absolutely made sense, but it was also serious. So like its answers here for this body image spread that we did was also like very serious. But it made so much sense, and it was such a good message, and it helped me so much. So the Disney Villains Tarot, I used it for this spread, but like I said, it was really helpful for me kind of across the board at the end of the month of May. You know, made me laugh, made me feel good. So here's another spread for the end of the month of May. The very last kind of week of May, we did for the monthly medicine, the Happily Ever After, and I returned to the Tarot of the Divine and the Delanoë Oracle, which I've shown you. And then, oh yeah, my birthday. My birthday decan spread. I used the Klimt Tarot, and those of you who have been following along with me might have seen my community post, because my last video where I, or not, the video before the decan spread, the birthday decan spread video, I asked you guys to help me pick which deck I would use, and this is the deck. I used the Klimt Tarot. So my birthday was the 30th, so it was pretty much wrapped up May. That was pretty much the end of the month for me. So that's it. This was certainly a long one. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope that you like taking a walk through my journal like that with me, and taking a look at all the things that I got up to, and the decks that I work with, and the practices that I got into this month of May. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye now.